Hello and welcome to Fullerton College Baseball here on SportsNetUSA.net. Ryan Osborn, Joseph Pavlenko joining you live from the campus of Fullerton College as Fullerton College gets set to host the Santa Ana College Dons. Fullerton College here this afternoon is going to be going with their alternate navy blue uniforms, one of the more rare seen uniforms that the Hornets have produced, as they are more recent and new to this program so far, as we immediately get to the Santa Ana College Don lineup. Leading things off will be Micah Paitilla-Wiggs, and he'll be joined by James Williams and Nick Lopez. That's the top three in the order. Cedric Perez will be hitting cleanup with Luke Davis directly behind him, and Griffin Selby as well. Derek Sims with Devin Villanueva and Garrett Crenshaw round out the batting order for the SAC Dons. For Fullerton College, on the mound they're going to be throwing out a right-handed pitcher, which we'll get to in just a moment, as stepping up to the plate to start things off will be Paitilla-Wiggs, and that right-handed pitcher on the mound is Garrett Paschal. Paschal, a 6'3", 200-pound righty, a freshman out of Yorba Linda High School, as we get set with Paitilla-Wiggs stepping up to the plate. Paitilla-Wiggs, a right-handed hitter, stepping in there with no batting gloves on. More of a common factor at the college level than you would see at the pros, as the first pitch is going to go low. 1 ball and no strikes to Paitilla-Wiggs. Again, Williams will be directly behind him, joined by Nick Lopez. Next delivery, that's going to stay up and high, so it quickly runs the count to 2 balls and no strikes. Santa Ana College to this point is currently 3-1, as they had a 4-game series against Golden West, 2 at Golden West and then 2 at home. And again, they go 3-1 as the first strike of the ball game is thrown by Paschal. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody out. Top of the first inning just underway here at Fullerton College, as the Hornets are hosting the Dons here on a Tuesday afternoon. Paitilla-Wiggs goes to dig back in there, as Paschal, very open stance when he looks in at Bloomberg. Delivery home, right at the knees for a called strike, and it's 2-2. He evens things up. Now for Santa Ana, they started their season off against Golden West, ended up with an 8-7 win. That was last Tuesday. Then on Thursday at Golden West, a 5-4 victory, so back-to-back 1-run wins. Bloomberg will set up the target, and Paschal delivers up and high. Paitilla-Wiggs watching a full count now at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Then once Santa Ana started hosting Golden West, the Santa Ana College Dons ended up getting run ruled 13-3 on Friday, as this is fouled off to the right and keeps the count even. Well, essentially run ruled at least. There was a drop dead time, as we saw with Fullerton College on Thursday as well. Playing a doubleheader, want to make sure that you get both games in while there's still sunlight. And Golden West won the first game 13-3. And then Santa Ana bounced back with another 1-run win, and they won that 2-1. Paitilla-Wiggs takes that one well up and high, so he'll take a jog down to first, and the leadoff batter is on for Santa Ana, which will bring up Williams. For Fullerton, they're entering this ball game at 1-3, an opposite record of what Santa Ana has posted, as their first 3 games they have played all against Orange Coast. Williams, a left-handed hitter, he'll dig in very back of the box as he takes well outside from Paschal, and immediately wanting a word with Paschal now will be Bloomberg, and he's going to jog it out. Defensively for Fullerton College, behind home plate is Bloomberg. Over at first is Kay. Or excuse me, make that Chesley. Yes. behind home plate is Kay, as Chesley is over at first. At second is Lemastra. Down at third is McClure. Shortstop of Bloomberg, and the next delivery from Paschal to Williams is outside, 2-0. As Duduat is in left, center field is Rios, and in right is Dar. 2-0 count from Paschal as a softball escapes from right center field, and they have to pause play and toss that back over. Two balls and no strikes to Williams. Back home from Paschal. Well outside, 3-0. So Paschal having a little bit of a command problem in the early going here. Still looking for his first out as Kay is going to jog out there and talk to him. That's going to draw a meeting on the mound as well. Top of the first inning, Fullerton College and Santa Ana. Live here from Fullerton College as the Hornets are in the top half of the first against Santa Ana College. Second batter of the game is James Williams. On over at first is Pytella Wiggs, as Pytella Wiggs worked himself a full count, and then the first three balls that were thrown to Williams he didn't have to offer at, as all three were out of the strike zone, and it's currently a 3-0 count. There's a called strike, and it's 3-1.
The one you gave me today? Okay. Yeah. Didn't work.
Paschal thinking about going to the set. Instead, he steps off, and we're back to 3-1.
Okay.
To the set goes Paschal, brings it home. Inside half, too far inside, and it's quickly 2 runners on. So just like that, Santa Ana College gets their first 2 batters on, and they're going to bring up Nick Lopez. Lopez, tall left-handed hitter, as he steps in there. Runners on first and second for Santa Ana College. No outs, top half of the first. Paschal trying to work himself out of some trouble here in the early going. Lopez, 6'1" lefty out of J. Sarah High School. Takes a called strike there, and it's 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Make it 0-2 as Lopez watches them both, and Paschal not only gets ahead of his first batter, but he is able to work Lopez into a hole here at 0-2. First and second, nobody out, top 1. Taking the lead off of first is Williams. Over at second is Pytella Wiggs. Back to home. Just outside for Paschal. Over at third, McClure taking one step towards the second base bag with the left-handed hitter up at the plate. Doesn't have to hold on over at third as Pytella Wiggs not getting an extended lead there. He'll bluff over to third as Lopez just slices this one down the third baseline and foul. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. Fullerton College, we mentioned earlier, 1-3 record as they faced Orange Coast to start things off on the 13th a week ago, and they beat Orange Coast 8-5 and then took 3 straight losses as here's a pickoff over between second and third. McClure is going to deliver it to Lemastra. Lemastra looking for the tag. He's got it. Runner over at first does not advance, so there's a pickoff for out number 1, and Paschal has himself in this ball game. So that officially is going to go down as a 1-5-4 pickoff. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Paschal getting a chance here at another opportunity for an out, and this is going to go too high, 2-2. Wind blowing stiffly out from first base towards the left center field fence. We'll get to the dimensions in just a moment. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Paschal on the mound finds the sign he likes from Kay. He'll come to the set. Closes up his stance, brings it home. Lopez high into the air, mile up. No infield fly called, as this will be out behind first in very shallow right field, where Lemastra will get under it and make the catch. So there's out number 2. And that will keep a runner over at first. And up next is Cedric Perez. So Perez, a 6-foot freshman out of Fountain Valley High School, is going to dig in. Runner over at first, couple out. Breaking ball there for a called strike for Paschal. Again for Fullerton College and Santa Ana. Kind of a colorful uniform matchup today, as Fullerton College is going with their alternate navy blue uniforms today, with gold lettering and white outlining and piping, as that's a swinging strike. And quickly, Cedric Perez is down 0-2. Santa Ana on the other end is going with their road black uniforms that they got brand new to this season. Cursive Santa Ana across the chest, and numerals in red, lettering in white. Stirrups of black and white. That's going to stay up and high as Kay will corral it, make it 1-2. When changing direction, initially it was going from first base out towards left, and now it is swirling and making its way directly from home plate to dead center field. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 away to home, and getting a piece and floating it off to the right will end up being Perez. Speaking of the dimensions that we were talking about earlier, down the left field line, it's 334. Into the left center field power alley, it's 366. Straightaway center field is 405, one of the deepest parks in the Orange Empire Conference. Right center, 373, and down the right field corner is 340. Out towards the right side, and that's going to be foul. So Perez staying alive. One ball, 2 strikes, and 2 away. Live from Fullerton College, top of the half of the first inning. Fullerton and Santa Ana. Paschal on the mound, trying to get himself out of the top half of the first after giving up the first couple of batters as runners. This is popped up into the air, shallow right field, trying to get to it in time down the right field line. Will end up being Dar, and he does in fact get there, and he will make the catch. So there is out number 3 of the top half of the first inning, as that will send us to the bottom half of the first, and the Hornets get their first stops. No score between Santa Ana and Fullerton College. You are watching and listening to Fullerton College Baseball here on SportsNetUSA.net in conjunction with 90.1 KBPK. As we get to the batting order for Fullerton College here in just a moment, as the Santa Ana fielders take to the infield and the outfield here at Hornet Field. We're going to start things off. Leading things off is Matt Dar. He'll be joined by Ryan Lemastra. Lemastra having a nice play earlier as he was able to get that pick off and apply the tag on Pytella Wiggs. And it gave Fullerton their first out of the top half of the inning, and it really allowed for Paschal to get himself into a groove. As batting third will be Jacob Sharp, and he's going to be joined directly behind him in the cleanup spot by Jacob McClure. McClure, one of the best hitters for Fullerton College, so he spots in there, also getting a start over at third. Right behind him will be Elias Rios, and he'll also be joined by Haku Duduat. Rounding out the bottom three in the order, Sawyer Chesley, in addition to Carter Kay and Jimmy Bloomberg. So getting set to take to the plate right now for Fullerton College will be Matt Darr. As Darr will lead things off. Right-handed hitter for Fullerton College. Darr to this point hitting .571. Easily the most dangerous hitter in this order so far, as he's got a bunch of hits and 7 at-bats, and he takes the first pitch and lines it over to second base where it will be caught. And that will bring up Ryan Lemastra.
Second baseman, number 1.
And if you were watching on Thursday, as Mark and Corey were broadcasting here on SportsNetUSA.net, Ryan Lemastra, if you are a returner here on SportsNetUSA.net, that name should be pretty familiar, as we broadcasted the Anaheim Lions tournament multiple times over the last X amount of years consecutively. Lemastra out of Norco High School. As he smacks this one out towards left center field, it's got a little bit on it, gets over to the track where it will end up being tracked down in center by Micah Pytila-Wiggs. And there's out number 2. So all it takes is 3 pitches, and instantaneously Fullerton College has their first couple outs of the bottom half of the first inning. That's going to bring up Jacob Sharp. Sharp in 10 at-bats, hitting .300, and takes the first pitch outside for 1 ball and no strikes. Sharp with 3 hits. He's got 2 singles and a home run. Immediately sends this one out towards right field. We're trying to find it. And getting underneath it is Garrett Crenshaw. And Crenshaw will end up making the catch. And that is out number 3. So we're getting set to go to the top half of the second. No score between Fullerton and Santa Ana. You are watching Fullerton College Baseball here on SportsNetUSA.net in conjunction with 90.1 KBPK. Paschal's going to take to the mound once again. And Fullerton College, let's get to what their defensive lineups are going to be here in the second inning and through most of the remainder of the game. As you can see it here on your screen, the team lineups for both of these two sides. Defensively for Fullerton, they have Carter Kay directly behind home plate along with Garrett Paschal. Over at first is Sawyer Chesley, and he'll be joined at second by Ryan Lemastra. If you make your way over down to the third base bag, Jacob McClure will be patrolling there. And at short is Jimmy Bloomberg. Out in left field will be Haku Duduat. In center will be Elias Rios, and in right is Matt Darr. And again, you see the batting order for Santa Ana College. Micah Pytila-Wiggs, joined by James Williams, Nick Lopez, Cedric Perez, Luke Davis, Griffin Selby, Derek Sims, Devin Villanueva, and Garrett Crenshaw. It's going to be Luke Davis, Griffin Selby, and Derek Sims up at the plate to start things off for Santa Ana College here in the top half of the second. As Paschal goes out there for his second inning. And Luke Davis will walk things up there. For Luke Davis to this point, he's got 11 at-bats, hitting .091. So he does have a couple of RBIs, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. 1 ball, no strikes as he takes the first one outside. Paschal finds the sign. Paschal, one of those rare starters that you'll see where they end up going to the set at all times, as this is a little blooper out towards right, and making the catch there is Matt Darr. So 1 gone here in the top half of the second, and that's going to bring up Griffin Selby. Selby also having himself a nice start to the season. 11 at-bats with a .417 batting average. To home. There's a called strike. Pumping in a fastball there for Paschal. Again, a freshman out of Yorba Linda High School. Paschal 6'3", right-hander. More of a 3/4 delivery than overhand as he goes to the set and he will deliver back home. Right at the corner once again, and it's 0-2. Paschal finds his sign from Kay. Delivery home, breaking ball, high chopper. Looped up over to Lemastra. Lemastra quickly having to toss to first, not in time. That's the thing for Lemastra. It's going to go as an infield hit, but it's kind of one of those mental errors as when that high chopper happens, it gives you plenty of time to be able to get up on it, charge, make the catch, or at least secure it, and then flip it over to first base. Lemastra there takes 1 step in, and then decides, you know what, that's going to be a high enough hop. I've got some time, takes 1 step back, receives the ball, and makes a really good throw over to first, just a shade behind, as Selby was absolutely trucking it down the first base line, and he has himself an infield single. That's going to bring up Derek Sims for his first plate appearance. For Derek Sims, he is hitting .125. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 away. That's the first hit of the game for Santa Ana as they had a couple of walks previously out towards right. That's going to be caught. And it makes it 2 outs here in the top half of the second. And Devin Villanueva up next. Villanueva to this point with only 1 plate appearance and does not have an official at-bat, but he does in fact have a walk. So an on-base percentage of a perfect 1,000 to this point. So Villanueva will dig in for his first opportunity, and he takes the first pitch low. 1 ball and no strikes. Runner over at first is Selby. Again, he had an infield single as he got one over to second. Lemastra tossed to first, just wasn't going to be there in time. There's a called strike. Going back to the set is Paschal. He delivers a breaking ball outside. More of a slide than anything for Paschal when he ends up pulling the strings on it. 2 balls, 1 strike, 2 away. Top 2, no score between Fullerton and Santa Ana. Paschal taking a long look at the runner over at first. Dribbler over to short, picked up and tossed to first by Bloomberg, and it's there well in time. That is out number 3, and it'll take us to the bottom half of the second. Fullerton, Santa Ana, no score. You are watching Fullerton College Baseball here on SportsNetUSA.net. Again, Ryan Osborn, Joseph Pavlenko joining you live from Fullerton College here today as the Hornets get set to have their second ups of this ball game. And it gives them a chance to look at the starting pitcher for Santa Ana in Josh Haley again. For Josh Haley, so far this season, he has started one game and has a 1-0 record. In fact, when you look at the way that things have gone for Haley, he was their opening day starter. As Haley ended up going 6 strong against Golden West. And by the time that he left, they had a 2-run lead. Gave up 1 earned run, 5 hits, and a total of 8 strikeouts. And again, 6 complete, so he gets credit for the victory there. And he's trying to keep things rolling here for Santa Ana. Santa Ana College Dons at 3-1, Fullerton College at 1-3. That's going to bring up McClure, as McClure will take the first pitch for a called strike in on the hands. Jacob McClure, 357, 3 RBIs, and 5 strikeouts. Leads the team in strikeouts and is second in RBIs. As you can see, the home plate cam ends up being a casualty of that last foul ball. McClure just getting a piece of it. And that is going to go up and high. One ball, 2 strikes, and 2 away. Looped up into the air. Should be a routine fly out towards center, where getting back on it to make the catch is Pytela Woods. And he does, in fact, make the catch. Kind of carried just a little bit more than you would normally see here at Fullerton, thanks to the wind blowing out towards center field. It's kind of progressed beyond just a little breeze here. And it's allowed for that ball to carry all the way to the track, but Pytila Wiggs was there with plenty of time to spare. That's going to bring up Rios. So for Elias Rios, he's hitting .222, 9 at-bats. He's got 2 hits, 1 for extra bases, as he does have a double. Rios' first pitch is a called strike. And it's 0-1. Back home, Rios, another called strike, and it's 0-2 this time. Haley went to the breaking ball to the outside on that last pitch, and he gets that corner, 0-2. Haley, left-handed tosser, brings it home, up and high. Some velocity on that, and it's now 1-2. Back to home it goes. Little chopper right in front of home plate. Haley off the mound looking to throw it, and he won't get it in time. That's going to be an infield hit, more of a swinging bunt than anything for Elias Rios, but he is on over at first. And now Fullerton is able to bring up Haku up next. So Haku Dudois is up to the plate next. So just like that, again, we go back to that foul ball where Haley calls for it. It goes past him to the ground. Lemastra gets on off of an error, then a single, another single, and all of a sudden Fullerton is up 1-0. All it takes is one mistake, and the Hornets as is the case pretty much historically, will end up making you pay. 2 outs on, McClure over at first, and Sharp down at third. This is Rios at the dish, and he immediately sends this one straight up into the air and back to the netting. Oh, and 1 count, 2 gone. That's going to be at the ankles. Bounces in there, actually, as Rios watches on. To home, Rios way out ahead of that breaking ball from Haley, and it's now 1-2. Rios got his first hit of the season earlier. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Swing and a miss by Rios, and he will run it over to first. Not going to be there in time, but the Hornets do get on the board. Lemastra makes Santa Ana pay for the extra opportunity, and that will take us to the top half of the 4th. It's 1-0 Hornets. You are watching Fullerton College Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net. So back underway here in the 4th inning. First batter of this 4th. And Nick Lopez immediately grounds out on 2 pitches, and that brings up Cedric Perez. Perez already 0 for 1, as Paschal is back out there. This is smacked towards deep center field. Rios on a dead run out towards center. It's going to get to the base of the wall. That is going to be a double for Cedric Perez, as he got a lot of that. It lands and 1 hops the wall in center field at 4:05. And he will be on, and Santa Ana with a runner in scoring position with 1 away here in the 4th inning is now going to allow for Griffin Selby, or excuse me, Luke Davis up next. One out as this is smacked up over towards center. Rios underneath finds the ball, and he will make the catch. Fires it over to third to keep the runner there.
Left fielder number 33, Griffin Selby.
Two outs. That bounces in. Carter Kay, nice job blocking it, making sure he stayed in front. 1-0, the Hornets with the lead here. One ball, no strikes. Swing and a miss. As Selby goes after it but doesn't catch it. One ball, two strikes, two away. Paschal with a runner over at second. Trying to work to Selby. To home. Got him looking. A beautiful toss there by Paschal. And the Hornets will get themselves to the bottom half of the fourth with a 1-0 lead. You are watching Fullerton Baseball here on SportsNetUSA.net. So Haku Dudois is the first batter of the bottom half of the fourth for Fullerton. And he will send this one directly behind home plate and foul. Chesley is going to be directly behind him. Haku fouls it off to the left. 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. 1-0. Hornets with the lead as Haku rockets this one over to third. Williams going to have to pick it up and fire. He gets it there in time. What an arm there by Williams at third as that ball ate him up, ended up hitting his thigh, goes to the floor, had trouble picking it up. Once he did get it into his throwing arm, that thing was on a line over to first, and Lopez able to stretch out and make the catch. One is gone here in the bottom half of the fourth, and Chesley up next. To home, Haley. Little blooper directly behind second, and the catch is made. Make it 2 gone, and Carter K up next.
Number 44, Carter K.
Two outs as K takes the first pitch. That ball right down the middle. Kind of situational awareness there from both of those two sides, and Haley and Carter K. K, knowing that the first 2 batters of this bottom half of the fourth went up to the plate, not really taking too long at the dish, decides that he's going to take a few pitches, whether they're in or out of the zone. Now it's an 0-2 count, and Haley, knowing that, ends up going back-to-back pitches down the middle. Next up, at the knees, that's going to go over to short. Pick up and a toss over to first. Will be there in time, as it was thrown over there by Cedric Perez. He got a double in the top half of the inning. Nice throw there. To the top half of the fifth we go. 1-0, Fullerton College. You are watching Fullerton College Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net. Top half of the fifth we go, 1-0. The Hornets on top of Santa Ana, as Derek Sims will be the first one due up here. Paschal back out for his 5th inning of work. Giving up 2 hits so far and a total of 3 walks. And he delivers the first pitch down and low for 1 ball and no strikes. One ball, 1 strike. As Sims takes a look at the next pitch, a high chopper. McClure has to get there quickly. Nice pickup, toss to first, and it's going to be dropped at first by Chesley. Tough play there, as that looks like it might go down as an infield hit.
Designated hitter number 18, Devin Villanueva.
And they're going to actually give an error charge to McClure over at third. So Sims is on with nobody out here in the top half of the fifth. And Devin Villanueva up next. Villanueva will take a breaking ball high in the zone for 0-1. Taking off down to second, high throw. Down there in time is Sims. So he gets himself in scoring position with no one out. Carter did his best, but Sims with an excellent jump in addition to the fact that that ball was going to be a breaking ball low and away. Not really much that Carter could do other than corral that baseball and make sure it got down there. One ball and one strike. To home, fastball down the right field line. It is breaking towards the line and foul. One ball, two strikes. Runner at second, Villanueva at the plate. Only had one plate appearance prior to this ball game. And it was a walk that came against Orange Coast. One ball and two strikes. Set, rocking, firing is Paschal, and he delivers outside, evening the count at 2-2.
Right fielder number 5, Garrett Crenshaw.
So one out on the board as Villanueva goes down via the strikeout. One out, as with Crenshaw at the plate, trying to deliver an RBI here. Very back in the box, hands set at the chest as Paschal puts something behind that one and delivers outside on a fastball. One ball, no strikes. Make it 2-0 as Paschal is trying to reset after the strikeout to Villanueva. Sign down the third base sign for Crenshaw. He finds it. Runner over at second is Sims. He got there after stealing a base. Two 2-0. Make it 3-0, because that's below the knees. So with a 3-0 count, that Paschal's probably going to label this one right down the middle. And he ends up going fastball, but it stays too high. So Crenshaw on over at first.
Center fielder
And
number
just as
1,
we were talking about,
Untitled
Paschal kind of
Chapter.
cruising his way through the second, third, and fourth. Now all of a sudden he's got himself into a little bit of trouble here with runners on first and second. That's going to bring up the leadoff hitter and Micah Pitella-Wiggs. One out. Smack towards left. This has a lot on it, and Pitella-Wiggs has just delivered a 3-run shot. Fastball middle in right at the belt, and Pitella-Wiggs made no mistake about it. And it's 3-1 Santa Ana. Pitella-Wiggs hitting that one just about, we'll say about 400 feet, maybe 410 out towards left. Well beyond that 366 marker, and he cleared that fence with ease. 3-run home run, and all of a sudden the fortunes change for Fullerton College. They go from up 1-0, having a couple of innings of nice at-bats, to down 3-1. Here in the top half of the 5th inning with 1 away. Bases now empty for Paschal. Paschal to home. That is sent low, in the dirt in fact, as Williams is up. That's low. 2-0. Make it 3-0. There's the call and strike, 3-1. Paschal gets back in the count. Bounces in. Another runner on for Santa Ana, so they've got the line moving here for the Dons. And they're going to bring up Nick Lopez with a runner on in Williams. For Williams so far this season, as there's a meeting on the mound for Fullerton College. Williams so far, no stolen base attempts. As a team, Santa Ana has attempted 5 stolen bases, make it 6. And stolen 5. And you add in the 1 today, so they've attempted 7 and have stolen 6. Nice completion percentage there. Or at least very low runners caught stealing percentage. 2 balls, 2 balls, no strikes, and 1 away. 3 across here in the inning for Santa Ana, as Pitella digs with a 3-run home run to give Santa Ana the lead. Fastball corked out towards right. It's going to be picked up. Toss to first. Won't be in time. Chesley keeps it in front of him. And there is out number 2. And that's going to bring up Cedric Perez.
Shortstop number 12, Cedric Perez.
Toss to first, pickoff. Not in time. Outfield from left to right. One step deep as Paschal delivers outside again. 1-0. Two balls, no strikes, 2 away. Three to 1, Santa Ana. Paschal finds the sign. Carter K. Looking to set up towards the outside half of the plate, and that goes low. 3-0, which is the 4th 3-0 count that he's had today. Runner over at first is Williams. Hasn't attempted to take off, and he won't here either. As this is over to Bloomberg. Bloomberg takes one step back from the outfield grass. He will toss to first, and that's going to be there with time to spare. There's out number 3. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Santa Ana, 3 runs across on 1 hit. It's now 3-1 Santa Ana. You are watching Fullerton College Baseball here on SportsNetUSA.net. So Blumberg comes up, and the Hornets are going to see their 9, 1, and 2 hitters come up to the plate. "3-1 is our score. 3 runs, 3 hits, and 1 error for Santa Ana College. On the other side for the Hornets, 1 run, 3 hits, and 1 error for them. Blumberg will take a called strike on the outside half. It's 0-1. Here in the city of Fullerton. Nice afternoon. Mid to low 70s with some wind. As we want to thank Ed Ford for giving us updates from around the OEC and Southern California. In the bottom half of the 4th, Saddleback is up 6-1 over Golden West. Top of the 5th, the Cypress Chargers 3-0 over Mount Sac. And bottom 5 at Irvine Valley. It's 2-1, Irvine Valley with the lead over OCC. Don't forget to keep checking SportsNetUSA.net for upcoming games, as we've got a lot of Fullerton College softball and baseball later on this week as well, as Bloomberg takes that one well low in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bloomberg taking a look at Haley. Haley, left-hander, tosses, and ahead of that is Jimmy, and he will send it foul down the third base side. Again, if you're watching online, Fullerton is in the alternate navy blues today, and Santa Ana is in their black uniforms. Kind of hard to discern unless you're looking at them up close, as this is going to be inside half, just missing his Haley as he gives a big grin. Thought he had that one, but ended up seeing it go as the ball inside on the hands. And again, for Santa Ana, they are going with the full black uniforms. Black uniform tops with white Santa Ana script across the chest, as this is too hopped over too short, and it will get away and allow for Bloomberg to be on. Over at first as Cedric Perez tried to go off the short hop while rushing up on it. And it goes off the heel of his glove and out towards third. So there's an error, and Bloomberg will be on over at first. And Matt Darr, again, still the most dangerous hitter in this order so far in the early going for Fullerton. Couple home runs, 4 RBIs, and 2 more hits on top of that. Came in 4 for 7. Now is added to it as this will end up being grounded down the third base side. Lemastra going to pick up that foul ball. No balls, 1 strike to home. That's well up and high. Runner over at first is Bloomberg. Darr at the dish. He'll be joined by Lemastra right after him. Infield, 1 or 2 steps in. Perez especially over at short. It goes right to Perez. He flips over to second, toss to first. It's a double play. Taylor made there as that had some pace on it over to Perez. He took 1 step in and to his right, and it was perfectly positioned right at him. And all he had to do was rock, fire, give it over to Sims. Sims on to Lopez, and that completes the double play. So with 2 outs here in the bottom half of the 5th, that brings up Lemastra. Lemastra, his last time up, started off that rally for Fullerton, and he offers at the first pitch here and sends it foul. And again, he ended up sending a foul ball high into the air, about 15 feet up the line. The pitcher, Haley, decided to call for it in between 3 different fielders. And it went past his glove to the floor, and Lemastra immediately following, got on base, reached on an error, ended up getting over to second after a walk, and came in to score the only run of the game so far for the Hornets. This is going to bounce all the way back. Two balls and 1 strike. Haley to home, and Lemastra has to get out of the way of it. Lemastra, mile into the air. Lopez behind first in foul ground, and he'll make the catch. That's going to take us to the top half of the 6th. It is 3-1 Santa Ana, and you are watching Fullerton College Baseball here on Sportsnet USA.net. You know what? Speaking of Sportsnet USA.net, don't forget that we've got a bunch of broadcasts coming up here on Sportsnet USA.net. We've got a lot. Fullerton College baseball and softball on the way. And speaking of baseball, on April the 22nd, that is on Thursday, baseball will be home here against Santa Ana at 2 p.m. They'll be on the road on Friday, but that will be right back here on SportsNetUSA.net. Don't forget that, not to mention the fact that SportsNetUSA.net has more broadcasts on the way, but the one and only, the franchise, Rashawn Haylock, will be calling some games here on SportsNetUSA.net. Normally the voice of Golden West College football, the franchise himself, gracing us with his presence, if you will, as he will have the opportunity to call some games here on SportsNetUSA.net coming up in the upcoming days. As you take a look at the Hornets softball schedule on Friday, they're going to have a doubleheader. So that will also be against Santa Ana, as Joseph Pavlenko says over to my left. No, we're going to have a busy week this week. We've got baseball today, baseball on Thursday, doubleheader doubleheader with softball on Friday. Lots of games coming up here on SportsNetUSA.net. Both myself, Ryan Osborn, and Joseph Pavlenko will be out there making sure that SportsNetUSA.net gets you coverage, as well as Mark Pavlovich, Corey Nalen, Ed Ford, and the one and only the franchise, Rashawn Haylock as well. So keep checking SportsNetUSA.net for more games. As getting things started here in the top half of the 6th inning for Santa Ana will end up being Luke Davis. No balls and 1 strike as he takes that one right in on the hands. Perfect pitch there for Paschal to start off the at-bat. And he tries to go towards the same location. This time he misses up and high, and Davis has to duck out of the way of it. 1 ball and 1 strike. Paschal on the mound, Kay behind home plate. As that one's going to end up going low. 2 balls and 1 strike. Chesley over at first. Lemastra at second. Shortstop at Bloomberg. And at third is McClure. Dudois out and left as that one is ladled up and high. 3 balls and 1 strike. Rios in center and Dar is in right. That's the 9 on the field for the Hornets. 3-1 count. Back to home, inside half. Trying to frame it there was Kay, but he didn't end up getting the call, and down to first will end up being Davis. Davis, one of the more rare players across the college ranks that uses 4 different pads on his legs to make sure that he is coverage in case there's a foul ball or a hit by pitch. As that is going to end up bringing another meeting on the mound for Paschal. Paschal out there with Kay, as they're going to end up taking the ball away from him, and a new pitcher will come in for the Fullerton Hornets. We'll see who that is in just a moment, as we'd like to remind you that you are watching Fullerton College Baseball here on SportsNetUSA.net. So Paschal ends up going a full 5 complete with 3 runs on 3 hits and a couple errors behind him. And he will end up giving way to Julian Tellez. And for Julian Tellez, he ends up going onto the mound, 6'3", 240 freshman out of Santa Fe Springs, California, went to St. Paul. And for Julian, so far this year, he has appeared in 2 games, 2 2/3 innings tossed, with 6 hits and just 1 earned run to this point. So a 3.38 ERA. However, to his big credit so far, his resume to this point is his strikeouts per 9, if you were to go across what he's delivered so far. And he's got a total of 6 in those 2 innings that he has thrown. So he gets his warm-up tosses in, and we recap what the scoring has been so far. Across the first couple of innings, Santa Ana got some runners in scoring position, but they weren't able to get anyone across. In the bottom half of the third, Fullerton capitalizing on a mistake by Josh Haley, allowing for a foul ball to end up going to the floor and past his glove. Lemastra comes around to score after a couple of consecutive singles for the Hornets, making it 1-0. And it would stay like that across the fourth and to the top half of the fifth, where Santa Ana got a couple on. And all of a sudden, Tilly Wiggs with a 3-run shot to make it a 3-1 game. And now we sit in the top half of the sixth inning, where the Hornets are down by 2, 3-1. At the plate now, Griffin Selby. First one to take on Telez, as he will bounce this one in the dirt and low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Selby in his first time up, grounded one over to second and beat out the throw for an infield single. Now coming up, trying to move the runner around in Luke Davis. Time is called at home plate. That one's going to go outside. 2-1. Grounded over to third. McClure goes diving after it, knocks it down, tossed to second, and throws it into right field. That ball's going to get away. It's going to be an error against McClure, and it allows for Luke Davis to be down at the third base bag. So Sims will come up with runners on first and third, and nobody out. And Carter Kay is going to talk to the defense here. Derek Sims comes up. So Telez gets a grounder, a hot shot down to third. McClure is able to knock it down, not allow it to go into left. However, the throw from his knees gets past Lemastra at second and into right field, allowing for Davis to get all the way around to third base. So now you've got Davis at third, joined by Selby at first. Telez to home. Half chopper right back over to Telez. He looks over the runner at third, and he'll toss to first, making it 1 out. So now you've got runners on second and third, and the sacrifice allows for the runner at first in Selby to get up to second base. And up next is Villanueva, who is 0 for 2.
Number 18, Devin Villanueva.
There's a called strike as Villanueva takes that one on the outside corner. 0-1 count with 1 gone. Fullerton Hornets and Santa Ana College Dons. Live from Fullerton, you're on SportsNetUSA.net. No balls, 1 strike, and 1 away. To home for Telez, and he goes back to that breaking ball over the top curve, and he'll bounce that in the dirt. To home, this is smacked over towards left. That's going to get down and in front of Dudois. Dudois comes up throwing a liner down to third. One run is going to score. Selby nearly overruns Davis at third base, but he will score as well. So two come across, an RBI single, and that officially ends the day for Paschal and also gets a run on Tellez as well.
Garrett Crenshaw.
So for Paschal, he gives up a total of 4 runs here this afternoon. And Tellez gives up his second run in the early going of 2021. That's going to bring up Garrett Crenshaw with a runner over at first. And again, 1 out. For Villanueva, just his 3rd plate appearance, make it his 4th plate appearance of the season. And he gets an RBI. High into the air for Crenshaw. Everyone's going to run out of room as that gets out of play. And foul, 0-1. Bounced home for Tellez. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Out to the left and foul. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 away. Crenshaw fouls this one well back and out of play off to the left. Dar out in right field, maybe 1 or 2 steps deep. In center, Rios, 3 steps deep and towards right. And in left, Dudois is 1 step in. Tells to home, that's rocketed down the right field side and foul. It's the warning track out there as Crenshaw got a lot on that, but sends it foul as he was out in front of it. Crenshaw digging in, left foot all the way back, slightly shaded towards second base and turned as he will get a piece again and foul it all the way back. Shaking things up here with the foul ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 gone. Bottom half of the 6th, 5-1. Fullerton trailing the Santa Ana College Dons by 4. To home. Swinging and missing is Crenshaw. And making sure that he secures the ball is Kay. Shows it to the umpire, and that's going to be out number 2.
Center fielder number 1, Micah Pitella-Wiggs.
Two outs on as Tellez ends up sending this one low and outside. As up to the plate is Pitella-Wiggs. Micah Pitella-Wiggs with that rocket shot out to left. That gave Santa Ana the lead. They've since added to it here in the top half of the 6th. Delivery home, high swinging strike, and it's 1-1. That was the thing for Paschal. Garrett Paschal was cruising through the second, third, and fourth. And then all of a sudden, after getting the first out in the top half of the fifth, allowed a couple runners on, and Attila Wiggs came up and made him pay for it. To home. Up in the air, out towards the right side. Chesley getting to it, leaning back, he makes the catch. Chesley was battling the sun and also the out-of-play marker, and he ends up getting to it, making the catch, and that will allow for us to go to the bottom half of the sixth. It is 5-1. The Santa Ana College Dons with the lead over top of the Fullerton Hornets. You are watching Fullerton College Baseball right here on SportsNetUSA.net. I'm Ryan Osborn joining you live from Fullerton College. And we want to remind you that on 90.1 KBPK, we've got the Coaches Show and SportsNetUSA.net, as well as we made sure that we talked to Scott Giles a couple of weeks back and kind of talked to him about, hey, you know what happened to the athletic program once everything, shut down last year? What are some of the logistics going into these upcoming seasons? How do you keep student athletes safe? How do you make sure that they're able to return to play and have the ability to go with confidence out to the field, to the court, and say, you know what, I can play at the best of my ability and also feel safe about it? We were able to have a discussion with him as to what Fullerton's doing to make sure that each and every athlete has that opportunity and how they were able to all get back to competition. Then also having a round table as well afterwards between myself, Joseph Pavlenko, who is over to my left, Mark Pavlovich, and Corey Nalen as well, on equality in sports and across not only just college athletics, as much was made in the news cycle in recent weeks and months, but just overall, as that goes as a 1-ball-and-1-strike count to Jacob Sharp. We were able to have, over an hour and 15 minutes worth of a conversation? And then we had to cut it short because we realized, oh wow, we went over the time limit that we set for ourselves. 2 balls and 1 strike. But a good informative convo, a lot of fun on there as well. All that on the Coaches Show, and you can make sure that you go out and you end up watching the Coaches Show, as we're going to have some more coaches and guests coming up in just a little bit. As Mark mentioned last week, as Sharp ends up fouling this one back. I know for myself personally, I've interviewed every coach on campus within the last few years that I've been here. We've made sure that we've given every athletic program here on campus a lot of exposure, as Haley gets a swinging strikeout from Sharp. And there is out number 1 here in the bottom half of the 6th. And Jacob McClure comes up next. So keep up to date with the Coaches Show, hosted by myself, and also make sure that you keep in touch with SportsNetUSA.net for the upcoming games that we have as well. Lots of content on the way, as this is going to be too far inside for 1 ball and no strikes to McClure. McClure in the top half of the 6th had that error in tossing over to second base that helped continue the inning for Santa Ana College, and eventually they would end up capitalizing on it off of that 2-run single for Villanueva. That's up and high. 2-1. That's low. 3-1. Fouled back. Lots of impact on that swing. We've learned recently that the foul balls here at Fullerton College, specifically in this game, it wasn't nearly as bad on Thursday, but specifically in this game, do not like the behind the plate camera. This is going to be a strike 3 call for McClure. He thought he had ball 4, and he's going to end up walking back to the dugout.
Center fielder number
That brings up
7,
Elias Rios. No balls, 1 strike, and 2 gone. Here in the bottom half of the 6th. 5-1 Santa Ana as Rios is out in front of that one. 0-2. Haley goes breaking ball outside. 0-2 count, Haley to home. And Rios goes after it. Gets him swinging, and Haley is going to end up having another strikeout. 2 strikeouts for him in the bottom half of the 6th. He's pumped, and we take it to the top half of the 7th. It's 5-1 Santa Ana. You are watching Fullerton College Baseball here on SportsNetUSA.net. Again, just to recap the scoring so far in this ball game. In the bottom half of the 3rd, Fullerton got their only run thanks to Ryan Lemastra getting on. Via an error, back-to-back singles for the Hornets. And they would end up capitalizing on it and getting a run in. After that, it stayed like that until the top half of the 5th, where a 3-run shot by Pytilla Wiggs allowed for Santa Ana College to take over the lead, and they would add to it in the top half of the 6th inning as well, as they see an error by McClure allow for the runners to advance, or at least one runner to advance. And a couple of hits later, and all of a sudden, the Hornets find themselves trailing 4, which is going to bring up James Williams. James Williams has been on twice. Both times because he has walked. 5 runs, 4 hits, and 2 errors for Santa Ana. For the Hornets, it's 1 run, 3 hits, and 2 errors. Williams, open stance at the back of the batter's box, and he will take a fastball from Tellez for strike 1. 0-1 is the count. McClure, 3 or 4 steps shallow, over at the third base bag. Hornets in their alternate navy blues, as Williams will get a piece and foul it down towards the third base side. After Williams would be Lopez, who is on deck. Hornets 1-3, Santa Ana 3-1. To home, that's up and out. Tried to go fastball away, see if Williams would chase after it. He didn't, and it's 1-2. The thing with those types of chase situations is that, yeah, you want to set that up and give yourself an opportunity to see if the batter will offer at it, but it also can bite you again if you end up missing your spot too well, or excuse me, too much. And it can get you into a groove of staying outside like the case is right there. With Tellez going back-to-back well outside fastballs, 2-2. And that's low and outside for Williams. We have a final in a different sport here in the spring. Saracoso 32, Antelope Valley 6 is a football final. As we mentioned earlier, Saddleback, Golden West playing today. Cypress and Mount Sac, Irvine Valley, and OCC as well. To home, and Williams slices it down towards the third base side and into the Santa Ana bullpen. Speaking of which, they don't have anyone up in their bullpen, and rightfully so, as Haley has been in a rhythm ever since that third inning. He's given up just 1 run on 3 hits. This is down towards the right side and foul. Kay gave it chase, but home plate umpire decided that he was just a shade too far to the right. To home. Looking for the high breaking ball is Tellez, and he will end up going ahead in the count, 0-2 to Williams, and immediately giving up 3 straight balls afterwards. And that brings up Nick Lopez. So credit to Williams fighting that off as much as he possibly could, and then finally brings up the next batter. Thanks to the patience at the plate, that's the 3rd time today that Williams has been on. All 3 times he hasn't even had to use the bat. Nick Lopez takes a called strike. Toss to first. Williams back diving in. Inside half, in on the hands. Here's McClure looking for 2. He's got it. Toss to first. Not going to be in time, but they do get that lead runner. As Lemastra tried to turn it in time, it looked like McClure had just a little bit of trouble getting that out of his glove as he retightens the glove down at third.
Cedric Perez.
But nonetheless, it's a nice snag by him and good toss to second to get the lead runner. So now you've got 1 out on, and that is going to bring up a new hitter. And up next is Cedric Perez. He's got a double in this game. Half chopper right up towards second, picked up, tossed to first. It's the only thing they have, as that one was behind the mound and not quite deep enough to get that second base bag and then on to first. Bloomberg with a good throw to first to get the out, and there's 2 gone with Luke Davis coming back up for the 2nd time in 2 innings. or excuse me, I said earlier that it was a football score between Saracoso and Antelope Valley. Sure, the numbers look like a football score, but it actually was a baseball game that finished 32-6 between Saracoso and Antelope Valley. Top 6, Saddleback 8, Golden West 1. As that will end up staying well outside for Tellez. 2 balls and no strikes as Davis is up there looking to drive in a runner. Also across the Orange Empire Conference, bottom 6, Cypress 9, Mount Sac 0. And also in the bottom half of the 6th, it's Irvine Valley 4 and OCC 3. That's at the ankles 3-0. So Davis doesn't have to do much on it, and he will end up seeing that one go low, and Fullerton is actually going to decide to send him to first. So they'll forego that final pitch of the at-bat, and they will intentionally walk him down to the first base bag and bring up Griffin Selby.
Left fielder number 33, Griffin Selby.
This is up into the air, shallow left field. Dudois trying to get to it, and it will fall. 1 run scores. Lopez is across, and a little Texas Leaguer out into the campfire in between Bloomberg and Dudois. Drives in another run. And it's
second baseman number 11, Garrett Sims.
Going to be 7-1 now. So Derek Sims up next. 2 outs on, runners on first and second. That ball just kept looping and wouldn't stay in the air long enough for Dudois, and couldn't get down quick enough for Bloomberg at short. 1 ball and no strikes. Sims having his 4th opportunity at the plate today. It's been on a couple of times. To home, this is going to get all the way to the backstop. It deadens there, and both runners advance. Two balls and no strikes with 2 away, and Santa Ana starting to open things up here in the 7th inning. Top half of the 7th, 7-1. Santa Ana. 3 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th, and 2 here in the 7th to extend it to a 6-run lead. Tellez finds his sign to home, and that is going to be fouled straight back and to the screen. Swing and a miss by Sims, and it's 2-2. Evens the count there. Tellez with a little cut to the outside half. And it's now 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 away. Runners on second and third. To home. They check, appeal down to third. They decide he did not go around, was able to check his swing successfully. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 away. Did he go around there? They check once more. No appeal. And he will be down the first base bag with a walk. And Villanueva coming up next. And his last at-bat, he got a single, and it drove in 2 runs. 2 outs on the board. 7-1 for Santa Ana, and they are threatening to score again. Santa Ana extending their at-bats, making sure that they force Fullerton College pitchers to work as much as possible. To home. Called strike. Villanueva didn't agree with it, so he'll step out of the box and reset himself. Up into the air, he fouls it off. So it's quickly an 0-2 count for Villanueva. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 away. 7-1 is the score. 7 runs, 5 hits, and 2 errors for Santa Ana. On the other side, it's 1 run, 3 hits, and 2 errors for Fullerton. Villanueva at the plate, going against Tellez. Bases are loaded for Santa Ana. Davis, Selby, Sims. Those are the 3 runners from left to right. Popped into the air, behind short. It's deadening quickly, and the catch is made by Bloomberg. Bloomberg couldn't find it for a quick moment, and then was able to re-find it in the sun just moments before it hit his glove. That will send us to the bottom half of the 7th. 7-1 is the score, as Fullerton College is going to bring up Haku next. You are watching Fullerton College Baseball here on SportsNetUSA.net. Again,